Okay, so let's dig into this. Have you ever like really tasted a tomato? You know, not just like eaten one, but actually savored it. Every little note, every nuance. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into this really fascinating book, Slow Sex by Nicole Daedone. And she uses that exact idea, tasting a tomato, as this, this big metaphor for unlocking a deeper, I guess, more nourishing way of experiencing sexuality and maybe surprisingly life itself too.
Yeah, and what's so interesting, right, is that it's not just a book about sex. It's like a whole philosophy for living.
A philosophy, right?
Exactly. So our mission today is really to pull out the core ideas from slow sex and orgasmic meditation, OM, they call it, and show how these principles, things like attention, desire, authenticity, in the bedroom, how they can actually ripple outwards, create this kind of turned-on life, will definitely unpack why our approach to sex often feels, as she puts it, mealy.
Mealy, yeah, I remember that description, kind of bland.
And how we can maybe find that, heirloom experience instead.
Okay, so the book kicks off with this really vivid story, right? Her Uncle Bob and the tomato. It really does make you stop and think about something so, well, basic. She talks about growing up in suburban California in the 70s.
It's like datos, yeah.
Right. And being used to those, perfectly round, kind of plasticky supermarket tomatoes.
Vacuum sealed, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then her Uncle Bob arrives, worked for Rolling Stone, had this super long beard.
Quite the character.
Totally. And he brings this basket of weirdly shaped, like deformed heirloom tomatoes. And he just picks one up, bites into it like an apple, juice everywhere.
Which must have been shocking for her.
Oh, completely. Because she only knew tomatoes, sliced neatly. And then he challenges her, like, describe the taste. And she starts, it tastes warm and a little sour.
Tentative.
Yeah, and he's like, yes, yes. So she keeps going. It's kind of like licking a penny, like metal with a jolt.
Wow. What a description.
Isn't it? And again, yes. Then she finishes. But at the end, it makes your mouth water. It's sweet, but not candy sweet. Sweet the way skin smells. Soft.
That's incredibly sensory.
Right. And her uncle, apparently really pleased, puts his hands on her shoulders and says this line, Nick, the most important thing you will ever do in this life is to really taste a tomato.
Wow, that lands, doesn't it?
It really does.
And it's such a perfect setup for what she then connects to sex, how her students come to her feeling like their sex lives are just mealy, unflavorful, common.
Yeah, just like those supermarket tomatoes.
Exactly. Approaching it like it's mass-produced, nothing special, nothing to really savor, which immediately makes you ask, right, what if we've all been missing out on the heirloom version of sex?
The really rich, nourishing kind.
Mm-hmm. The kind that actually fills you up.
And her own path to this wasn't exactly straightforward either, was it? She talks about having all the external stuff, magna cum laude, master's work, good job, mentor, the great relationship in San Francisco.
It's in all the box.
Totally.
Yeah.
But inside, feeling like something wasn't going right.
That a disconnect.
Yeah. And then a friend mentions taking a sexuality course. And she describes this whole rapid sequence of feelings. Scandalized, then curious, then embarrassed about being curious, then afraid, and then finally this burst of courage.
Takes guts to explore that stuff.
For sure. She signed up, and she literally calls it the beginning of the rest of my life. Because she found out sex wasn't just, a side dish or an extracurricular.
Right. Not just for stress relief or, a bit of fun or escape.
No, it was deeper. She saw it as a source of power, a well, something she could draw on to discover herself, to live more fully.
That's a huge shift in perspective.
Massive.
Yeah.
And that led her to start One Taste, this organization focused on the art and craft of the female orgasm.
Right, and that framing art versus science, that's really essential, isn't it? She uses another great story about her Ukrainian grandmother.
Well, yeah, the cooking one.
Exactly. The grandmother, who is apparently this force of nature in the kitchen. So Daedone makes this dish in home ec class, following the recipe perfectly.
By the book.
Totally by the book. Grandma takes one bite, spits it out.
Gasps slightly. No.
Yep. And declares, you killed this food with the recipe.
Wow. Harsh.
But profound, right? Grandma taught her you have to get into relationship with the food. And that's the takeaway. Sex isn't a science. There's no recipe.
But isn't that how most of us kind of approach it? Like, it is a science.
Well, yeah, I think that's her point.
We have these really strong expectations, right? Like, if we mix A and B, we should get C every single time.
Predictable outcomes.
Yeah. We think good sex has to look a certain way, maybe mutual orgasms, deep intimate connection, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if those specific things don't happen, we immediately think, oh, that was unsatisfying.
Right. We label it.
But they don't say, hold on, sex is actually messy and
It's
inconsistent.
like a force of nature.
Yeah.
Like gravity.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
reflects life. It's got hot, cold, fast, slow. It's not predictable. And here's the kicker. The worst thing that can happen.
Uh-huh.
You kill the sex with the recipe. You stifle it by trying to force it into a box.
Which leads straight into the next problem, right? If
Yeah.
you treat it like science, then sex becomes a problem to be solved when it doesn't meet expectations.
Right. And problems are for scientists.
Exactly. But if sex is an art, then sex isn't a problem. She talks about this paradigm of wrong we live in, always looking for what's broken, what to blame,
Yeah.
when maybe inconsistency, feeling sad sometimes or things not going perfectly. That's just part of the deal.
Part of being human, part of life.
Mm-hmm. But we resist it, especially with sex. We see it as a problem.
And trying to fix these supposed problems just makes them worse.
That's what she argues. It makes them more irritating, more frustrating, more painful. It eats up energy.
Okay, so if it's not a science, not a problem,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? How do we get to that heirloom tomato version?
Well, she breaks it down into three simple ingredients, she calls them. Ingredients for that deeper, longer-lasting experience. The one she later calls a 4-month orgasm.
Okay, intrigued by that phrasing.
Yeah.
What's the first ingredient?
The first one is stripping down.
Stripping down. Okay.
She uses this analogy of her friend Marta, an interior designer. Marta was redoing the One Taste Retreat Center, which was apparently super cluttered.
Uh-huh.
So Marta had everyone literally carry everything, all the furniture out onto the sidewalk.
Wow, drastic.
Totally. Start with a blank slate. Then she only brought back the pieces that were the most sensational.
I see the connection.
Right. So OM, the practice,
Huh.
does the same thing with sex. It aims to clear out all the sexual furniture we've accumulated, all the habits, the expectations, the routines.
Gotcha.
And then you intentionally bring back only what feels genuinely good, right, and pleasurable in the moment.
So that might mean letting go of some things?
Yeah, like the habit of just going faster or harder to try and increase sensation. And she even suggests temporarily setting aside vibrators.
Really? Why is that?
Because, she argues, they can sometimes numb us to more subtle, natural sensations. It's about recalibrating.
Okay, stripping down. Makes sense. What's number 2?
Number 2 is paying attention. Specifically, paying attention to sensation.
Attention. Seems obvious, but maybe it's not.
Well, she argues it's absolutely essential for great art, great lovemaking, great OM, but our society generally, we don't really value just noticing, listening, feeling. We value
See,
doing.
you're always busy doing something.
Exactly. She has this simple exercise she does in class with a flower. People just look at a flower for 90 seconds. No goal, just observe.
Okay.
And then she asks, was the flower more vibrant at the beginning or the end?
Yeah.
Every single time, everyone says at the beginning.
Wow, so our attention just fades that quickly.
Apparently so. It highlights how easily our focus wanders, how little practice we have at sustained, simple attention.
That's quite revealing.
And there's another layer to this attention piece, too. It's the confusion between sensations and emotions.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. If someone asks, what are you feeling? We usually say things like happy or anxious or stressed.
Right. Emotional labels?
Exactly. We rarely describe the actual physical sensations in our body, like, I feel a tightness in my chest, or there's a warm, heavy feeling in my legs.
Yeah, that's true. We jump straight to interpretation.
We do. We're kind of conditioned to ignore pure sensation or just filter it through our minds. And a huge part of OM, she says, is cultivating that ability to just feel. Feel the raw data of sensation in our sexuality, in our bodies, in the world.
Okay, so strip down, pay attention to sensation. What's the third ingredient?
The third one is asking for what you desire.
Ooh, that sounds potentially tricky.
It can be. She shares this really powerful story from a coaching session. This woman was basically shutting down her sex life because she couldn't bring herself to tell her partner what she actually wanted or needed. She was afraid of hurting his feelings, afraid he'd feel inadequate if she had to tell him exactly how to touch her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She literally said, I felt like it would be better to let our sex life die than to risk asking for what I wanted.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And probably really common, right? Especially for women.
Incredibly common, yes. Desdun identifies this as a major hurdle.
So why is it so hard? especially for women, as you said.
Well, she suggests it's tied into really complex cultural conditioning, ideas about being nice, not making demands, putting others first.
Right, the good girl stuff.
Could be part of it, yeah. The intricacies of female bodies and psyches might play a role too, but the point is, OM specifically builds asking for what you want into the practice.
How so?
It encourages really clear, simple communication, like a little lighter, a little to the left, stay right there. It's about fostering openness and clarity, making desire something you can actually talk about.
In learning to handle a yes or no.
Crucially, yes. Embracing vulnerability, asking directly, and accepting the answer yes or no without adding a whole story or drama around it. Just simple information.
Okay, stripping down, paying attention, asking for desire, those are the ingredients? So how does OM, the practice itself, actually work?
Right, so OM, orgasmic meditation, is the main practice in the book. She describes it very simply. A simple meditative practice where the man strokes the woman's genitals for 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay.
And she stresses it's not sex in the usual sense. And importantly, there's no goal.
No goal.
Not even orgasm.
Not as a requirement or the main point. The goal is sensation, connection, attention. Orgasm might happen, it might not.
Interesting. So how do you set it up?
It starts with creating what they call a nest.
A nest. Cozy.
Yeah, basically a private, comfortable, safe space. Usually a bed, but sometimes the floor works better for the stroker's posture. You need a few things. Pillows for her head, maybe under a knee for comfort.
Yeah.
Lubricant, she mentions specific kinds like One Stroke or Sliquid, but also coconut oil.
Okay. Lube is key. Definitely. Also a small towel, and importantly, a timer set for 15 minutes with all other phone notifications turned off.
Got it. Dedicated time.
And part of the ritual is how they dress or undress. The woman takes off everything from the waist down. The man stays fully clothed.
Why the difference?
Daydon says it helps clearly define OM as separate from regular sex. It also symbolizes the woman's conscious choice and commitment to receiving the practice. She mentions one student, Katie, who said after a few times, it felt really free.
Okay, so the nest is ready. What happens next?
Next comes a step called noticing. This is for the stroker, the man in this description. He simply looks at his partner's genitals and describes what he sees out loud.
Describes them out loud. That sounds intense.
It can be. Daydon is very open about how many women feel shame or discomfort about their genitals being seen, let alone described.
I can imagine.
She even shares her own first experience, being mortified as her partner described her, saying things like, your inner labia look like coral, deep rose color, pearlescent pink.
Oh my goodness.
But she said his clean attention, just objective observation, no judgment, no interpretation, actually softened her. It started to unravel a whole lifetime of judgments.
Wow. So the noticing isn't commentary, it's just description.
Exactly. Color, shape, relative location. No, that looks nice, or that looks weird. Just clean attention. Another woman, Heidi, said hearing her partner call her privates beautiful during this step was a complete revelation for her.
Okay, that's powerful. So after noticing comes the actual stroking.
Yes. The technique itself is quite specific, but also simple. The stroker puts his right hand under her buttocks, that's for grounding, apparently. Then the left hand comes around to the clitoris. He applies lube first from the vaginal opening up towards the clit, but not directly on or above the clitoral hood initially.
Okay, a specific application.
And the stroke itself. It's described as light and soft, not deep pressure. And it focuses on a small area, about 1 inch long, just below the head of the clitoris.
Below the head, not right on it.
Right. Daydon makes the point that the visible clitoris is just the tip of the iceberg of the whole structure. This spot below is apparently very sensitive. One woman, Noelle, described her first time as baffling, but admitted something unexplainable was going on.
So it's not about fancy moves.
Not at all. The key is the stroker's attention on the stroke, the woman's attention on the sensation. It's not about performance.
Okay, I can see how people would have a lot of questions about this.
Oh, definitely. The book tackles quite a few common ones.
Like, for the woman receiving, what if she doesn't orgasm? That seems like a big one.
Huge. And Daydon directly addresses it. Many women do not climax or go over during OM, she repeats. The goal isn't climax, it's sensation. It's building orgasmic energy. There's apparently a grounding step at the very end of the 15 minutes to help integrate the sensations and avoid frustration if climax didn't happen.
What about that fear of being looked at down there? The noticing part.
Yeah, she acknowledges that's real, but suggests OM can actually help heal that shame over time. Practical tips she offers include maybe getting a bikini wax beforehand just to normalize the area being seen, Or simply naming the fear out loud to your partner. I feel a little nervous about you looking.
Just acknowledging it.
Exactly. And if there's physical pain during the stroking,
Right. What then?
the first advice is kind of counterintuitive. Stay with it as research. Like, just notice it.
Okay.
But she also gives practical adjustments. Ask for a lighter stroke or slower. Ask him to stroke the clitoral hood instead of below the head. Ask for stillness for a moment. Or even just stroke the lube itself near the clit without direct contact.
So there are options. What about the guys? What are their common questions?
The number one question, apparently. So,
Yeah.
when do I get stroked?
Laughs slightly.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Right. The book even says every new stroker has asked himself at some point whether he's a grade A sucker for doing this.
What's the answer? The answer is essentially, OM isn't about direct, immediate reciprocity in that way. It's a specific practice with a specific structure. Other kinds of intimacy can involve reciprocity, but OM doesn't.
Okay. What other fears do men have?
A big one is, am I doing it right?
Performance anxiety.
Totally. Men often rely on visual or audible feedback during sex, right? Moans, movements. OM doesn't necessarily provide those in the same way.
So it feels like flying blind a bit.
Could feel that way, yeah. And related is the fear of hurting her.
Understandable.
But Datum pushes back on this a bit. She emphasizes the resilience of female genitals.
Her line is something like, we push babies out of those things.
Exactly. She suggests exercises like the partner pressing quite firmly on her genitals or even gently pulling the inner labia just to demonstrate how resilient they actually are. It's about recalibrating the fear.
And lube getting everywhere? Is that a thing?
Apparently, yes. Lube out of control. The advice is just to be judicious, start small, and apply it correctly from the opening up towards the clit, not above it.
Okay. What about wanting to go longer than 15 minutes?
Common desire, especially if things feel good. But she makes this interesting point that all the rules of the regular world seem to break down in the world of OM. 15 minutes, done consistently with attention, is usually enough to experience a lot of sensation. It's about depth, not duration.
Right. And finally, what about the people who just think, nope, not for me?
No, this definitely isn't for me reaction. It's common. And she shares her own story here. She resisted OM for 9 months, ran away from it.
9 months? Wow.
Yeah, until she had this realization. It's not the practice I have a problem with. It's that OM is going to change me in ways I'm not sure I'm ready to change.
Resistance to transformation?
Exactly. She says we have this tendency to loathe the very things that have the power to transform us. It's a natural human thing.
That's a really important point. Okay, so beyond the mechanics of OM, the book delves into broader relationship dynamics, right?
It does. It offers some pretty direct insights, framed as what men should know about women and vice versa, based on the experiences within the one-taste community and the OM practice.
Okay, let's hear it. What does she say men should know about women?
First big one. For women, everything is connected.
Everything.
Her body, her heart, her sex life, her job, her relationships, her personal journey, it's all interwoven. She uses a spiderweb analogy. Sex is right in the middle, connected to everything else, the full catastrophe of life, as Zorba the Greek might say.
So touching one part affects the whole web.
That's the idea. Touch her in one place, she feels it in 10. The takeaway for men: go slowly, be patient, understand the interconnectedness.
Okay, what else?
Second, do not believe us if we say we do not want sex.
Whoa, bold statement.
It is. She follows it with, we want sex more than you guys could possibly fathom. Her argument is that women are often starved for the feeling of orgasm, but they might need help getting turned on.
Help out.
By men offering time, space, permission, and crucially, by banning the rule of reciprocity sometimes, just letting her receive without any pressure to give back immediately.
Interesting. Okay, number 3.
Third, women have no idea how much men love them.
Really?
Yeah. She says women completely, totally, and fatally underestimate your desire to please us, and that men often get their sense of acknowledgement or success from seeing their partner happy. Like one guy said, if she's happy, it makes me happier.
Okay, what's next?
Fourth, women are not just dishonorable men, meaning don't expect women to operate by the same code or logic as men often do. They have a different way. Learn to be flexible.
Okay, and the last one for men.
Fifth, she doesn't want to win. She doesn't want her way. She wants our way. Women, in this view, desire collaboration, negotiation.
So how can men foster that?
Her practical advice is the 3 options rule. Offer 3 choices for restaurants for OM times, whatever. It makes her feel considered, held, respected, and sets the stage for collaboration rather than conflict.
Offer 3 options. That's concrete. Okay, let's flip it. What does data say women should know about men?
Okay, first, echoing the earlier point, men experience acknowledgement through a woman's happiness. Her turn-on, her pleasure, is his doorway to his own turn-on. OM is presented as a way to help make his woman orgasmic, which leads to a happy woman, which makes him feel successful and happy.
So her happiness fuels his.
That's the loop she describes. Second, if you want him to treat you like an equal, then be his equal. She suggests men often default to a protective alpha mode because they think women need saving or protecting.
But the book's message is?
She is not broken. Act like an equal if you want to be treated like one.
Got it. What's third?
Third, nice is the trump card.
Nice. Just need nice.
Basically, yeah. Men, she claims, ultimately choose and stay with women who are genuinely kind to them, who love and appreciate them. She quotes men saying they'd do anything if they thought it would make their partner be nice to them.
Okay, number 4.
Fourth, say it to a man every time like the first time.
What does that mean?
Men's communication style, she argues, is more direct, focused, single channel. Women often communicate on multiple levels simultaneously.
Okay.
So to bridge that gap, women need to slow down, be direct, and repeat things clearly as if it's the first time he's hearing it. Every stroke a new stroke. Every request a new request. No assuming he remembers or understands the subtext.
Be direct, repeat clearly. Makes sense. What else?
Fifth, fixing is what a man does when he can't figure out how to turn you on.
Ah, the fixing mode.
Yes. When a woman complains or seems unhappy or isn't turned on, a man's default problem-solving instinct kicks in. Fix it. But Daydone says women often don't want to be fixed. They want to be tempted and teased.
So what should women do?
See his handyman mode, not as criticism, but as his way of saying, I love you and want you to be happy. Acknowledge that, then gently redirect him towards what you actually desire.
Okay, see the intention behind the fixing. 2 more.
6. Men get confused when women withhold information. Women might mull things over, plan the perfect way to say something.
Ruminate, yeah.
But men, she says, just need the information. Plain English, don't hold anything back.
Straightforward. And the last one.
7th, approval turns him on. A woman's genuine acceptance, her pleasure in him, her appreciation for what he is doing.
Yeah.
That's like fuel for him. He lights up like the Eiffel Tower. It gets his fire burning.
Genuine approval. Okay, wow. Those are some very direct observations on dynamics.
They are, and worth remembering they come from a specific context and perspective.
Absolutely. Now let's go back to that 4-month orgasm idea. You said it's not literal climax.
Right. It's not about being in a state of constant climax for 4 months, which sounds exhausting.
Chuckles. Yeah, probably.
It's about cultivating a sustained orgasmic state, an ongoing sense of aliveness, connection, sensation, turn-on that can last hours, days, maybe even longer.
How is that even possible?
She says it comes from learning how to hold sensation, getting out of that finishing line mentality where climax is the only goal.
So instead of pushing for the peak,
you savor it. You let the orgasmic energy wind its way, meandering through sensation after sensation. You follow where it wants to go without forcing it until it feels complete.
and this leads to a different kind of climax sometimes.
Yes, she describes a new kind of climax that feels less like a sudden explosion and more like something that rolls through you rather than happening to you.
Rolling through you.
Characterized by feeling relaxed, alert, connected to your partner as the sensation builds, peaks, and then gently resolves. Like ice melting into water, she says. More integrated, less peak and crash.
That sounds appealing.
And the bigger picture here, the connection to life. The book argues that when you start living with desire as your guide, fueling your life with this turn-on energy instead of fear or obligation, it's like switching energy sources from fossil fuel versus solar power. Fossil fuel is effortful, depleting. Solar power turn-on feels easy, abundant. Things start to flow, synchronicities happen, life feels less like a struggle.
So it all comes back to learning to get off on any stroke.
Exactly. That's a key phrase. Learning to find nourishment, pleasure, interest in any experience life sends your way. Even the downstrokes, the ones you don't prefer initially.
That sounds like learning how to say yes to life.
Precisely. She even suggests a simple exercise. Just notice how your body feels when you say the word yes versus saying no.
Okay, try it now. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
See? Yes tends to create a feeling of openness, expansion. No often brings contraction, tightness.
Huh, yeah. There's definitely a difference.
So staying open, aware, saying yes to the sensation of the moment, that's the path to freedom, to enjoying the upstrokes and finding something valuable in the downstrokes too.
Wow. And the book ends with a really profound exchange, doesn't it?
It does. Dana Dawn asks her teacher, what was the longest orgasm you could have?
And the answer.
How long can you remember to follow your desire?
Wow.
Right. The implication is staggering. The only thing standing between us and potentially a lifelong orgasm, that state of constant, effortless aliveness, is simply forgetting to check in with and follow our own authentic desire.
What a journey we've taken then. Seriously. From a simple tomato
Yeah.
all the way to this idea of a fully turned-on life philosophy. This deep dive into slow sex, it really unpacked how stripping things down, paying really close attention, and being brave enough to ask for what we want, how that can change not just sex, but everything, our whole experience of being alive.
Absolutely. As we've kind of explored, when you really let yourself get turned on, genuinely, you unlock more energy, more sensation, more connection, first maybe during sex. But then that turn on starts showing up everywhere else too. It's about consciously choosing to engage with your own desire. And what's fascinating, I think, is how these principles, attention, desire, presence, they're so fundamental, so universal, really.
Yeah, definitely feels that way. So here's something to maybe leave you with to think about. What recipes, what fixed ideas or expectations are you still holding on to in your own life? Maybe in your sex life, maybe somewhere else entirely. That might actually be stopping you from truly deeply tasting your own experience. What might happen if you just dared to say yes? Yes to the sensation, yes to the vulnerability, yes to the desire that's just kind of waiting there to be noticed and cultivated.